This is Justin AMZN for Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. Take a look at the daily here. So we actually had a bullish gap and go. So it gapped up above yesterday's close. I got the zoomed way out, just looking at what resistances are nearby. And I was trying to figure out, like, why did we stop here? You know, what's up here? Is there some resistance right here? Because, you know, we gapped up, like we put in a low that was near these highs here, this last round of highs. So that was the low. Put in a high wave candle, almost an inside candle, and then started to run. And we just had a lot of buying up. And then we put in a nice evening star reversal, came back down to the 21 and bounced. And looking at the 3,700 call, this was one of those days that you can just buy the dollar increments of the option price. So buy at 9, target of 3R, sell at 12, you know, with a dollar stop. So your stop's at 8. And then do it again. Buy at 10, get out at 13. Buy at 11, get out at 14. Actually, the high here was 14, so I don't know if that actually would have filled. But when it got up here, if it didn't fill right at 14 and then pulls all the way back to 12, then runs up almost to 14, just get out on its way back up if you held through all that. Otherwise, if you sold up here, you're getting back in at 12 looking for 15 and it didn't work. And at this point, when it's coming back down, it's like maybe you scalp it for like half an hour or something. It came back down quick. But that's just what one of these days was. And we've seen these before. You can just buy these increments as it's riding up the 21. So it did that for, you know, the first half of the day, a little more than half the day. Really, well, I guess it really did it to here. So that is about half the day. Well, less than half the day. All right. Anyway, after that, it got choppy and got sideways. Looked like it was going to start to roll over here through the 21. And there was FOMC announcement today. So, you know, I didn't want to get anything right here, right before that happened. I figured it was going to push up and then try and contend with the high. But that's when I'm like, okay, how serious is this resistance? Well, it was pretty serious. We put in the high we put in here came in some lows at 1120 on the 3,300 put. And so 3320 there, 3350 there. And then, so it was about 45 minutes after this happened that we actually pushed up, made a new high on the day, right? 34.8988. So that's a new high on the day. But it didn't hold. We put in 15 minutes of really a nice stair step and then came back down. And on the way back down, I was getting into this at 1150. So I faded this from 1150 up to 1450. Unfortunately, I was hoping that it would have filled me at 1450 on this candle. It did not. It actually filled on this candle and then moved up, you know, even to 15. So, but yeah, I got filled right at 2:56 Central Time. So I was watching that one down to the wire. It's like, okay, I'm going to get out of this thing because I'm not holding this for whatever is going to happen. But I was looking for a bit more of a pullback into the close. So I was, you know, holding this, tightening up my stop a little bit after 35 minutes, just following my plan, and really hoped that this candle was going to keep going and we'd have a much stronger breakdown. I thought that would set us up better for what I expected or anticipated to happen for earnings, but it didn't. It ended up going sideways for about half an hour here. All of this I'm holding through, losing, you know, the gains I thought I was going to be able to take, and then get the rollover in the last 20 minutes, which we've also seen that. So, but then after hours, we're up right back up at this level. So if we open above this high on Thursday and get another bullish candle, I think we're going to gap up for earnings, and I would kind of anticipate a new all-time high. And if we can get that, I think we're going to fade. I think we're going to come back down. I think there's been so much buying that, I mean, if we get up to 3,600, we were at 3,000 at the end of last month. That's like a 20% move in about a month, maybe call it 5 weeks. We were down at, you know, 2,900 towards the beginning of March. So really in the span of 2 months to have nearly 25, actually I didn't do the math. What's 3,600 divided by 2,900? 3,600 divided by 3,000 is 20%. I can do that one in my head. Let's see, where's the calculator going to come up? Okay, 3,600 divided by 2,900 is 24%. And I'm not not saying the exact low, not, you know, I'm just saying if we get an open around 3,600 after earnings, then yes, we're clearing the all-time high. We've cleared these resistances, but everybody's profitable. I think there'll be some selling, especially after a move like this in the course of about a month. So that's what I think is going to happen for earnings. If we do gap up again tomorrow, so Thursday morning, and then have a bullish day, even if we have a bearish day, I think there'll be some. I think there'll be some. Sorry, let me say this again. I think there'll be some buyers because they'll feel like they missed it and it's breaking out. I think they'll be trapped and it'll pull back and it'll fade. I could totally be wrong, but that's what I'm expecting to happen. That's what I'm looking to happen. Um, and another reason for that, I guess, is back here when we were breaking out again, we had gone through another big move. So from this, we had moved up about 20%. So similar, we were down around 3,000, a little under 3,000, ran up to, excuse me, sorry, ran up to 35.52.25, and right back into this old trend line that I had drawn in, and wish I had traded that bearish right off of that. That would have been great. But this was the open gap. Sorry, this was the gap at the very next open after that breakout, new all-time high, and we really pulled back. And this was September, you know, just last September. So it was almost 8 months ago, almost 8 months ago. But I was looking at this candle. It's like, oh, that's the resistance we're at. So right around 34.90. The high of this candle is actually 34.88.41. I'm trying to hold my cursor close to that. 34.88. Where'd it go? 34.88.41. Okay. 34.88.41 is like right. Okay, it's like really close to right there. We didn't get we didn't get a 5-minute candle close above that. That's where sellers are coming in. So if we can sell, so we're above that right now after hours. So this is the price after hours, 34.89. We're a tiny bit above that. We're really right at that same resistance. I'm thinking some resistance or some selling may come in right at open, even though we're gapping up. We'll trap these people who are selling, but we could get some more selling, and it's going to look similar to this candle, you know, where we had not this bullish one here, but this is kind of the upper portion. We had, you know, good amount of buying and then some selling coming at the end of the day, and then this candle here we had some buying, then some selling came in, and then if we don't gap, we could just sell back off just like this one. You know, it'll look something like this with like a evening star reversal here, and then if we gap down, I think if we can get a gap down into the 21 and give people another chance to buy down here, I think there'll be some buying. So I guess my zones would be like around, you know, anywhere above like 3,400. I'm thinking we'll have some selling. I think that's like a ballpark. Don't quote me exactly on that. Take your own trade. And then if we can get something closer to these lows, this was a really nice S curve. If we can get another entry down here, there'll be some buying. And if we can get a gap down anywhere from like 3,000 to probably 3,300, there'll be some buying, because that'll be anybody who missed this will be wanting to get in or get in with more and think this should just keep going up. So the no man's land would be like 33 to 3,400, because I guess I don't even want to have a no man's land. I'm thinking we'll get some buying if we gap down. We'll get some selling if we gap up. I'm going a fade kind of scenario. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So that's my thoughts for earnings. Gave you my thoughts on the call, the 3,700 call. I was also looking at the 3,650 call, and that was just a little bit too expensive. The 3,700 just had the really nice clean levels. The 3,300 had some really clean levels around 11.50. I was looking for an entry at 11, and when this candle came in, it put in a low of 11.05. I didn't have the order out for 11. I wonder if I did, if it would have been filled. But when this happened, it's getting right back. When actually, as this candle is happening, I'm like, okay, this order of 11, I had an order ready of 11.50, thinking I'm going to watch that. I'll send the order. And then it got up here. I'm like, oh, I wonder if I can get filled for 11. And after this 11:05 low came in, I sent the order at 11. And then once these candles came in, it's like, this isn't coming back to 11. This is going to hold, this resistance is going to hold, or I'm wrong and I'll lose an R really quickly, which is what I'd like to have happen. And so, but I was also looking at the 33, I'm sorry, the 3250. And I think the 3350 was a little too expensive. We were right at the cusp of, so like 3650 on the call and 3350 on the put were just like a little too pricey. So it's like almost within a range. And this is probably something with the Greeks that it was ready to move more at that price. It was a little that much closer to at the money, even though we're, hundreds of points or hundreds of strikes away, hundreds of points away in strikes, something like that, however you say it. I usually think in terms of, for earnings week, I think in terms of 50s. How many 50s away are we? And then during regular non-earnings weeks, I think of 25s. How many 25s are we away? So I kind of think of it in terms of, a quarter, a quarter, 50 cent, that kind of thing. If it were, a smaller price, so it's like 33.25 would be 20, a quarter away. 33.50 would be, a 50 away, that kind of thing. That's how I think about these, because those are the primary strikes I'm looking at. So anyway, with the stock trading from, like low 3400s up to high 3400s, 3450 is kind of the mid zone there. And then it's, it's 150 points lower to get to 3300. And then it's 250 points up to get to 3700. So it's kind of off a little bit, but if you look at the prices, I mean, at one point of the day, the prices are almost kind of the same area. Like the $12 price range here was the same thing. So to me, that means that even though the 3700 is that much more expensive for being an extra 100 points away, it's maybe not quite 100, but the 3700 is more expensive, even though it's further away. That tells me more people think it's going to go bullish, and the market makers are just trying to have the premium priced appropriately so that if it does go up, the option's not going to increase by that much, or may still go down depending on the size of the gap. If we get it like a monstrous gap up to like 3700, 3800, I think we'll have a much larger, let me say again, I think we'll have a smaller move on the day, because people will not be expecting that. It'll be a bigger surprise that that's the big move that we've had. If we have, a smaller move, I think there'll be a bigger sell-off, because it's like, okay, it's so close to where we're at. So it seems kind of intuitive, but those bigger earnings moves, I guess, I've seen this. I can't name, specific cases where I'm thinking about it, but the ones that are more surprising of the options of the stock move, those have staying power. Those can hold that level because it's so significant. It's like, oh, I wasn't thinking it would do that. I'm way up. There's no way I could lose in this trade. Why sell? I'm just going to hang on and let it play out. And, playing on the options, letting the shares ride should hopefully keep it closer to that price. Maybe have still a bigger dip, not a bigger dip, sorry, a smaller dip, a little bit of an S curve, and then continue on up. I want to say Amazon itself has done that. Let me zoom way out, and I'll show you the purple line here too, because I haven't looked at that in a while. You can go back to some older videos, but this was a downtrend channel here, and then I had drawn some things in on this uptrend channel, and then this channel was based on just a couple of candles here, and then slicing through this, lined it up at the highs, but then I kind of let it be. Like, I didn't go back and readjust it. I just extended it to the right and to see how well it would, line up with some things. And when I did that, I didn't look at this line for a while, and then I was shocked that we hit it twice. We hit it here as a high, and we hit it here as a high. And so basically my lines called the highs. I just wish I had been trading bullish off of that and, from way back here and been ready to short it way up here. But anyway, I want to say if we go back and look, I think the 1,000, yeah, the 1,000 mark. Okay, that's what it was. I was thinking it was a different ticker, but no, it was definitely Amazon. So if I zoom in on this and move back, because we don't look at all this recent stuff. So this was the gap. So when this gapped up from earnings, it was still within the closer range here. It didn't have as much of the sideways action as we've had recently. We've had like what, a year of it going, really, no, not a year. What I say, 8 months of it going sideways. This was only a few months, but this was more of a consolidation here. This was like what's this pattern? I wanted to say cup and handle. It's not really a cup here. Maybe a little bit of a cup and handle. This part being the handle. Then it broke out, but it, because of where it broke out and that there. I don't know if this was a bigger move, but this was like clearly breaking 1,000 where it had already done. It was getting above this level by the end of the day. But then that one just continued to run. I mean, this was that huge one that really got things started. I'm picturing something similar to this. If we get a bigger move up, like to 3,800, that we'll have a smaller sell-off and go sideways, have a little dip, kind of like how this dipped here, and then, or this dipped and then went sideways. That's kind of what I'm thinking we could do. So here, yeah, the sideways I'm talking about is like this. So, I mean, if you count from the last all-time high, that was August. So, this is 11 months of sideways, right? No, when did that start? June, July, 10, no, 9 months. Yeah, okay. So that's like 9 months of sideways. So obviously a lot of range through here. As long as we're this far out, let's go look at the weekly. See what's going on here. Okay, so weekly looks really clean here. We got the squeeze breaking out. We'll see where it actually closes. If this has still triggered on the squeeze, depending on how the week closes. So we can come back to this on Friday. And then the monthly, this one, yeah. So this is really key because we had a great hammer and then a bullish gap and go. That's just about, looks like it's going to break out above all of these upper wicks. And then depending on earnings, again, we'll see, is it going to get above these wicks as well? We're going to make a new all-time high and be huge, have a huge candle up here. And then what I'm talking about is going to be similar to this, where we have a hammer, a really large bullish candle, some sideways, a little bit of a pullback, a smaller move back down, and then just continue to run. And so I guess what I'm saying is the way this has rested here, and we've got a hammer from last month, it looks similar to this, where we've rested. I mean, this was a huge rest here, ending in, not ending, but I mean, look at this candle compared to this candle. Let me draw. I'm like pointing with the cursor, and I know that can get annoying. This candle here compared to this candle here. Nice upper wick, body towards the lower end of the candle range, lower wick. Then you have a really clean hammer. This one was a little better off of the 21. This one, it's off in space a little bit. Didn't even come back to the 21. So these are at different places, but then the candle following it is incredibly similar. So in a way, you can still call this like a Morningstar reversal. And that kind of helps things catapult. I really think it was coming into the 21 here, helping catapult that this had rested for so much longer. At some point, Amazon should come down, but not yet. Doesn't necessarily have to yet. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what else to say. Just look at this hammer and look at this hammer and look at the candle before it and look at the candle after it. It's so incredibly similar on a monthly. We had the squeeze go in here, it triggered here, and even with this month's candle where it stands now, the histogram does not seem to be done. It looked like it was done, coming back down a little bit, losing some steam the last 2 months. I mean, you could say it's been losing steam, for 8 months, but you know, here we are already breaking out of some of this. But I mean, if we can have this kind, like, picture right now, as we are right now, we're just above that wick. That's like here. So consider like a 2200 move up by a couple hundred points up to like 2500. So that's like a 300 point gap. I'm saying if we can do something like that and get up to like 37, 38, percentage wise, it'll be different. Size wise, it'll be similar. But I mean, if we end up here, this monthly candle could be huge, and it's going to look just like this. It's going to look just like this candle. That's the potential. I'd love to see that. We'll see if we get really some reaction and earnings like that. If not, like I said, if we have like a smaller move, maybe it's something like this where we have no, that's a hammer there. No, this is backwards. Not there. Where else have we had that kind of a move? We had a bearish candle. No, I'm just looking through candles. Yeah, I mean, going by the months, it's so hard because it's, I mean, look at the price on this. It wasn't, I just scrolled a little bit. This was a decade ago. Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know what else to compare it to. Here's some places where we were off of the 21 for a while. We came into the 21, we were off the 21 for a while, ran up too far, came back down, went sideways for a year, or pulled back and sideways, all total about a year, you know? So if we come back over here, excuse me, if we come back over here and picture on a monthly, if we do get a move up and we continue up a bit more, at some point here, sorry, there we go. At some point here, the 21 is going to keep coming up and we'll need to come back down to it. And that'll mean like going sideways a bit, maybe not a dip. Didn't mean to draw it as a dip. This continues up and then this chops around. And so like late 2022 is where we've rested enough up here. So I think it's possible we'll make a new all-time high after close tomorrow and continue on up with something like this. I mean, it doesn't have to go that high. And then I'm not so good with waves and stuff, but I mean, this is definitely some sort of consolidation here and then a really big move here. This was a really big move, even just this, but you can call it, you know, you can count it way back here. I don't know where that leaves this compared to whatever the next thing is going to be. If this is bigger than this, I think would be a wave 3. At least what I know about it is that wave 3 can't be the small. It can't be the smallest. So if, let me try and zoom back out on this. So if we look at this huge move we've had over the decade, you could say something like this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2, this is a wave 3, 4, and a 5. And then it looks like 1 is the biggest, wherever that starts. 3 can't be the smallest. That means 5 has to be the smallest. And it doesn't have to be small by much, but it can't be the smallest. 3 can't be the smallest. So range from here to like here could be where we go. So that's what, 4,000 something, 4,200, maybe 4,500. What is this? We went from 16 to 36. Let's say we went from like, let's call it 17 to 35. So if we do something similar, it just has to be smaller. So anyway, we're way off on the monthly. I usually just focus in on the 5. So getting back down into the daily, where we usually are in my videos. There we are. So we got some clear resistance here. We got an all-time high. We're not far from. I don't expect an all-time high during the trading day on Thursday. If that happens, who knows how much further we could go. I mean, then start counting waves through here. Like if this is a 1, 2, 3, wherever this goes, then a 4, then a 5. I mean, that can be part of it too. So, yeah, if you want to learn more about waves, want to learn more about looking at patterns and learning candles and their sentiment, check out the link in the description. It's all free, and it's where I've learned so much of this. I can't even tell you. Hope this helps. This is just AMZN. Thanks.